What is going on, guys? It's Colby Evans, aka Startin Parker, here with a little bit of a short episode today. This doesn't really have to involve ARCA in any way. The ARC Racing podcast, obviously, tomorrow, but we are here to discuss some major news in the NASCAR underdog family. Jeremy Clements, despite the huge upset victory in last Friday's Xfinity race at Daytona, has unfortunately had that all taken away from him, except the win, though. We'll get into that in a second. But L2 penalty, very severe penalty. Pretty much everything was taken away except the win. We'll get into that and whether maybe there should be some changes on how NASCAR does their post-race, teardowns and stuff. Because, I agree with a lot of people, maybe MBM Motorsports should get the win because, they had the legal car. But at the end of the day, NASCAR's had their policy in for a long time, and we'll get into a little bit of a discussion about it. But anyway, guys, I thank you guys for joining me on this Tuesday night for a quick little episode right here on the Start and Park YouTube channel. I want to thank you guys. Thank you guys for 433 subs. We are only 67 away from our 500 subscriber giveaway. So again, I want to thank you guys there. Again, check out the ARC Racing podcast, all my other videos. And yeah, thank you guys very much for tuning in. So let's get right into it. Last Friday night, we had one of the craziest Xfinity races that I had personally ever watched. All the competitive cars just seemed to crash out, and come the final restart, we had arguably two high-profile team cars that still had a shot at the win. The 21 of Austin Hill and the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. 16 of A.J. Allmendinger had fuel pressure problems. The 21 of Austin Hill had, I believe it was an electrical issue. And come the final restart, the 21 doesn't go. And looks like this win's going to be very well decided between either the 51 of Jeremy Clements, the 13 of Timmy Hill, or Ryan Vargas, Brandon Brown, a lot of the other underdogs that were in that area. And I'm sure everyone has seen the finish by now. Jeremy Clements got the push. It looked like Allmendinger was going to get past him, but Timmy Hill gave the 51 that final big push that rocketed him into the lead. They took the white flag, of course. 98 of Riley Herbst spins. It warrants a caution because Riley spun back out on the track. Jeremy Clements was ahead at the time of caution. Timmy Hill was barely ahead of the 16 at the time of caution, so he got credited for second. Jeremy Clements wins. A huge moment for the underdogs. I was going crazy. I mean, even though I am an MBM fan, you guys know I am, I was still happy for Jeremy Clements. I've been a Jeremy Clements fan myself since 2010 when he drove the butt paste car for JD Motorsports. I'm sure you guys remember that car. The 04, the Bodox butt paste. Now, I mean, I've been a fan of his for a long time, just as much as MBM Motorsports. And so it was great to see, one of the last family-owned teams that still builds their own engines get a win at the second highest level in stock car motorsports. And to see what happened today, man, it's just heartbreaking. So apparently, I think every winner has to submit their engine to the R&D center. Although his car did clear post-race inspection, all winners' engines, I believe, have to be submitted to the R&D center for a complete teardown, and that is there where they found, I believe it was an issue with the intake manifold. I don't think they have put through an exact reason as to why the penalty, but I do believe it is for that intake manifold. It is kind of interesting that they didn't find this in post-race inspection. I have seen post-race inspection done at the track before. It makes me wonder maybe if they should be checking more at this point, because you wonder why they wouldn't find something like that at the track and maybe not in the motor. But, hey, I don't do the teardown myself, so I guess I can't really speak on that. $60,000 fine to the crew chief, but I would imagine maybe Mark Setzer is the crew chief, which does suck. Mark works too hard for a fine like that. I would imagine maybe I wouldn't be shocked if they help Mark pay that fine by taking it out of the winner's purse that they received, because they won well over $1 million for that race. So I would imagine maybe they'll use that money towards that fine. A loss of 75 owners and driver points. Now, if you guys were following my timeline, you guys saw me tweet out that this was a big deal for Jeremy Clements because it goes with backmarker battles that we've been discussing all season. A lot of the battles that, is not really talked about through the field. And that some of you guys who have just tuned into my channel might not still know is that NASCAR has a bonus for teams and drivers who finish in the top 20 in points and the top 20 in the car owner points. The only exception is I do believe you have to have competed or plan to compete at all the races. Pending whether you had to withdraw or not, I'm not sure if that still stands. But the top 20 in each standings get an $80,000 bonus. That's a total of $160K at the end of the year. And what that win did was lock Jeremy Clements in for both of those bonuses. So not only was this win a big deal in terms of a big financial payout for getting the win, it was a big financial payout that the team could look forward to at the end of the season. And unfortunately now, they might not get that. They will still likely be safe for the top 20 drivers' points bonus, but in terms of the owner's bonus, that will drop them now to 24th after getting up to – they were up to 20th in the points. Obviously, they would be in there come playoff time, but the 75-point penalty will now drop them all the way down to 24th in the points, well over 75 points. I mean, you add the 75 points on there. That's just, I mean, with 13 races left, that might just be too much for that team to climb back up. Now, obviously, then there's the controversy of we've seen NASCAR take away wins this year. I mean, we saw Denny Hamlin get the win taken away at Pocono due to a small piece of, I don't know if it was tape or what it was. Now, obviously, that's a Cup car. The Cup cars are 100% different from the Xfinity cars now, completely different chassis and bodies. So obviously, the rule books are different for both Cup cars and Xfinity cars. We've seen in the past, NASCAR has done these penalties that have happened after post-race inspection. I believe it was Logano 17, Harvick at Vegas 18. They have received L2 penalties, but they've kept the win. It just is a little frustrating. It is a little frustrating because, we've seen in the past, even Bob Pockers has bunked down reports of L2 penalties because there is a picture out there that says L2 penalties will all be disqualification. Bob Pockers, one of the main NASCAR reporters, did comment on that photo saying that it is not in the rule book. It is a summary that didn't go into every scenario. Where it says after the race doesn't mean at the R&D center. It means post-race inspection. Because obviously, if the car passes in post-race inspection, those results are final. I understand that. But I believe, to me, in my opinion, and a lot of people online, that is a little bit of a flaw in the NASCAR rulebook. Because at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter if it's post-race inspection or tear down at the R&D center. Post-race inspection should continue at the R&D center, in my opinion. And if that car is illegal, I don't care who it is. Even if it's MBM Motorsports, even if that was Timmy Hill, if they had an illegal car at the R&D center, take the win away from them. It applies to everyone, in my opinion. And this is coming from an MBM and Jeremy Clements fan. If that exact same penalty happened to Timmy Hill, had Timmy Hill won that race and that exact same penalty happened, I would have said take the win away as well. Trust me, I would have. Because the rule should apply to everyone. I hate the situation because after the great weekend that we saw for the underdogs in both the Xfinity race and the Cup race, with a penalty like this, it makes it hard to go back and watch that race because now you see the 51 winning. You don't feel as happy because now the realization sets in, oh, wait, we watched, all this happen and a legal car unfortunately won the race. Now, was the car illegal on purpose? Absolutely not. I mean, it's not like Jeremy Clements, those guys, they are not cheaters by one bit. I would never accuse them of cheating on purpose. They've been classy in all of their time in the sport, nothing but professional. And it sucks to see that the one time that Jeremy Clements and them actually get a win, unfortunately, their engine, and they build their own engines too. So that makes it honestly even worse that they build their own engines and this had to happen. It's just a bad case all around. But in terms of should MBM Motorsports have gotten the win, you can call me biased all you want, but I do agree no matter what it should be, if that first place car is illegal in any way, it should be taken away, in my opinion. Whether it happens after the race, that should always be taken away. I don't really like these encumbered wins. We've had them in the past. We've discussed them in the past. I don't like the encumbered wins. I don't think really anyone likes the encumbered wins because it just makes you, like I said, it makes you go back and you want to look at those races and you're like, oh, wait, he didn't actually win the race. The car was unfortunately illegal. And we saw NASCAR enforce that. Like I said, at Pocono this year, the top two, you guys remember, they was disqualified with Chase Elliott getting the victory. Now, that's a whole nother conspiracy theory that I'm not even going to get into because, frankly, that was still a weird deal that I don't think anyone can really wrap their head around. And there comes the part that that I say is like, well, is it to keep Carl Long at a victory lane? It's not like this is the first time that NASCAR has done something like this. Not something in this situation, but not the first time NASCAR has done something to Carl Long. The ridiculous fine 13 years ago, or whether it be not letting Timmy Hill compete in the iRacing League. I mean, it's just these stupid little things that happen to MBM all the time. And, you can attribute that at the same time, but at the same time, you can call it just the rule book and the way it goes in the sport. And that's the way I'll put it. In my opinion, I do think the 13 team deserves the win. But at the end of the day, I understand the rule book. I know the rule book coming into this weekend before the Daytona race even took place. I knew the rule book. I got bored one day sitting in a hauler, and I actually read a copy of the rule book that one of the crew members had on their cell phone. Pretty interesting stuff in there, to be honest with you. ARCA rule book, just as fun to read. I don't know why, but reading the rule book sometimes is actually quite fun. But yeah, I know the rule book. It does suck. At the end of the day, there's not much we can do about it. But just keep going as underdog fans. It sucks for Jeremy Clements. Their season, like I said, is not over yet. They could still somehow pull off another miracle at Darlington. Jeremy's very good there, but the likelihood is that's not going to happen because it's just these powerhouse teams, Gibbs, Colleague, Junior Motorsports, are just too tough to beat on a weekly basis for a family-owned operation. Darlington this weekend is definitely going to be fun to watch, but it has to suck for Jeremy Clements. I hope he gets an interview. I hope they still interview him at Darlington in terms of regarding the penalty, because I think Jeremy deserves to, give an interview about this, explain their part. I hope both Jeremy and Tony Clements get an interview about this because I think they both deserve to explain their side of the story. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this short little video going over what happened today, how it's going to affect Jeremy Clements in the future, and does MBM deserve the win? Well, unfortunately, by NASCAR rulebook, they don't. But in the fans' eyes, a lot of them say they do. But the best part about the sport is we can agree to disagree sometimes, and that's the best part about social media, is just agreeing to disagreeing. So, but yeah, guys, thank you for joining me on this short little video. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you tomorrow with the ARCA Racing Podcast. So long, guys.